All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Again, this is a special edition episode that we have that I've coined as SDCC Peeps. So let me bring the two guests that we have on. We actually have another additional special guest, surprise guest, but let me introduce my first guest here now. So if we can welcome Leonard Sultana, Englishman in San Diego, who'll be on momentarily. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Hello. Not in San Diego, which is killing me. I'm not going to lie. At this point, I would either be on a plane or by a pool. I will be gearing up for next week in a big way. But no, I'm here in the UK and hating every single Facebook memory that rolls around that reminds me that
Right,
this is the time. So
right. All right. And as I said, we do have a surprise guest joining us today as well. So let me bring her on. Alyssa Franks. Hold on one second, Alyssa. There we go.
there she is.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
I'm a
hello.
surprise guest. Whoa.
So again, guys, thank you so much for coming on. As I said, this is a special edition episode of the show that I have dedicated not just for this week, but next week. Episodes that I've coined as SDCC Peeps. For those of you that are watching out there, if you're not aware, San Diego Comic Con is happening next week. Mind you, not in person, virtually, Comic Con at home, if you will. But I've said it once and I'll say it again. When it comes to Comic Con, a lot of people put a lot of a lot of energy is provided to the programming, and which, don't get me wrong, is great. The parties and the swag, unique things that you can get in terms of souvenirs, the announcements, what have you. But I feel a common part of San Diego Comic Con that gets overlooked a great deal is the communal aspect, the friendships that can be sparked out of that. So, because of that, I decided for a lot of these special edition, I can speak today, special edition episodes that I have, it's with a lot of the folks that, I spend a lot of time with when I'm there during that week of Comic Con. So, to get the ground running, I'll go back down memory lane of how I met the two guests that I have here. Leonard, I believe I met you initially on social media, and then we met in person. I want to say 2015. So it's been 5 years.
It was later down the line. We knew ourselves so like virtually before we actually met each other online. And I think
Actually about a year. It was probably about a year plus.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly as well, we didn't exactly aim to meet up. We kind of like bumped into each other outside.
That's right. We bumped
outside
into
the convention
center, getting our badges,
getting
our press badges. I remember, and it was memorable too because I guess I think the first thing that came to mind when we first met, and you get this a lot, I'm sure. It's like, wow, he's tall. He's really tall. I didn't expect him to be that tall.
It's the heels, darling. That's it's 6 inches of heels. That's all it is. Don't worry about
it. And in the same respect, Alyssa, I want to say we met. I want to say it was that same year, because I think that was the first year that Tony Kim had his Game of Bloggers party. So I think that was an opportunity that I ended up running into you when we were having it. I can't remember the name of the venue. It was the Dragon something. I can't remember.
Hard Rock. Not what? The Hard Rock. The House of Blues.
House of Blues. No, It was before House of Blues. It was another place before House of Blues.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, it goes back a couple of years.
It was back a ways. And you said of me, Wow, you're so short.
No, not at all. It was. I'm trying to remember what the first conversation that we had when we
I
when
don't
I
remember.
met. It was, wow, she is very knowledgeable about Comic Con, like very super knowledgeable about Comic Con.
Thank you.
So it was as I said, it was great having a chance to meet with you guys that first time, and obviously since then we've run into each other every single year. We try to make a point to run into each other every single year, despite how busy things can become. And I guess I'll start first, just thinking back, going back down memory lane of perhaps your first Comic Con, and perhaps like your best memory from that first Comic Con for you all.
Me?
And I can start with you, Alyssa, if you want. Go ahead.
Okay. 2010. It was right around the time when I kind of was. I had just turned 50, and I was in your quintessential midlife crisis. And so I took my 10-year-old and I said, I'm flying across country. And we went and because I'd heard of this thing, Comic-Con, and I've collected comics since I was way young. And so I've always been interested in that pop culture um, field. And so I took a wing and a prayer. And Saturday morning, my favorite memory is Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. This was the Marvel day. I decided, I think we'll stand in the Hall H line. So I got in line Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. I was just on the other side of the road, going over to the back part of it, and didn't manage to get in for the Warner Brothers panel, but did manage to get in for all of the rest of the panels, and ended up seeing that 2010 Avengers announcement where the whole cast came out. So that has to be my most memorable moment.
I remember. Yeah.
Yes.
We were in. I think we were all in the same room at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, and with everything that transpired before that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I
remember looking over at my 10-year-old.
Before that.
I remember looking over at my 10-year-old son's face, and he's just like, Harrison Ford, all of these people. Harry was just, as a parent, it was an amazing experience to give my son that, a feeling of inclusiveness, because he was always an outcast in all of his schools. And so it was really nice to give him that feeling. But it's nice that we were all in the same room. We all knew where to be.
Go ahead. And Leonard, you said the same for you, or was it a different memory for you?
Well, no. I think I can pick another one, but I mean, yeah, that was a big moment of that weekend. No, 2010 was my first year as well. It was supposed to be a bucket list thing, ticking off of the box. It was the centerpiece to my honeymoon. So it was myself and my then new wife, Caroline. We flew out. It was our first trip to California, first trip to the States, first Comic-Con, first San Diego Comic-Con, obviously. And the second you kind of face the convention center and you start wandering around people with a similar level of passion, you feel like you've come home. So I mean, it's really strange to talk about 2010 because it actually is such a mixed bag, considering that we did the first day, we did preview night, which at that point preview night was not as manic as it is today. I mean, it's still quite busy, but it's not as manic as it was. And we got through that, and it was great, and we had a lot of fun. And then we did the Thursday. We kind of went our separate ways, because I wanted to go to Hall H for the Tron Legacy panel, and Caroline wanted to go and just explore. And that first day, on the Thursday, we finally met up in the afternoon, and Caroline was not a happy bunny. She'd been battered and bruised and pushed and shoved. There was no please or thank you. There was nothing, no kind of, it was really was just a wall of people that just kind of like stomped all over her, basically. And at the end of that Thursday, Caroline was almost of the thought that Comic-Con was not for us, or certainly not for her. So we decided to take the Friday off. we went to SeaWorld. We did SeaWorld on the Friday. So we then took a breath, marshaled our forces, and went back in on the Saturday, and then we were hooked. That was it. We just then we then had a better idea of the amount of people we were going to be facing, and yeah, we were absolutely hooked. Standing in line with people who had all different fandoms and different loves and passions, but all of them with the same level of passion and joy and happiness to be there. So no, that we got our head around it. It took a while. It took that initial stumbling point, but we got our head around it. For myself, the memory of that first year is actually after walking through sales, and this is back when you could actually just walk through, and there's next year's badge sales, and on a board was saying next year's badge is still available. So I went and had $200 spare in my back pocket for spending money, and I bought next year's badges. Not even talking to Caroline first. Met up with her at the Sons of Anarchy panel in Ballroom 20, and just sort of sat next to her and said, "Would you like to come back next year?" And she said, "Yes." "Okay, yeah, we're in for this now." I said, "Yeah, good, because I bought badges for next year." At which point it was a pretty staid panel, and this is my memory. This is the one for that year, because it was a pretty quiet panel, or a bit of a muted panel. There was a strange vibe in the room because this upcoming season was about to air. So everybody was asking what was happening in the new season of Sons of Anarchy, and the cast and Ron Perlman up on stage and Charlie Hunnam, and they were just going, "We're not going to tell you. Watch the season, watch the show. So we're not going to tell you." So there was a strange vibe in the room. At which point Caroline got up to ask a question on the mic, and basically she turned around and said, because she's a massive bike fan, she loves Harley Davidson, she loves all of that. She basically turned around and said, the question was, has anybody had any serious falls on any of the bikes in Sons of Anarchy? And if they have, are the bikes okay? And the room just exploded. Up on stage, they just lost their minds. Ron Perlman couldn't stop laughing, and I was just, number one, so proud of her for asking a question in front of several thousand people, and just she got the room rocking. But she had a grin on her face, and that was the thing. It's just happiness and joy, and that's what I get out of Comic-Con. That's why I'm missing this year badly.
Definitely. And I just had, some mutual friends of ours on the show not too long ago, about roughly about an hour or so ago. Jeff Mueller and Nat Williams, and we were talking. They were just reminiscing of how Comic-Con sparked or started that trajectory that they had into moving from attendee to a member of the press and the media. So I'm familiar with what each of you guys do, but for those out there, can you comment on Alyssa, with you, friends of CC, and Leonard, the Englishman in San Diego. And at this time, I tell you what, Leonard, can you start this time? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll try and make it a bit shorter than the last one. Basically, I got into the social media. I decided, even before that first 2010 show, to do a lot of research. Went everywhere, anywhere to get as much information as I possibly could. YouTube videos, Facebook groups. This is back when Facebook was actually, useful. And it actually had a way of doing like comment threads and Q&As. Yeah. And I just went everywhere and anywhere. And I discovered the Friends of Comic-Con forum, I believe. Was it back then, or was it? No, Friends of Comic Con Forum evolved off that, didn't it?
Yes, it did. You probably were on the SDCC Facebook page,
Yeah.
and which I was pretty active in.
Back when it only
That's
had
right.
back when it only had 110,000 people following, whatever, instead of the 2.5 million or 3 million it's now. Anyway, so I just I put my face out everywhere to kind of ask questions, and the same questions kept rolling around. So I was one of those people that kind of helped people with recurring questions, and it started getting to the point where I mean, I started a vlog because I wanted to document my trip or my journey to
I
Comic Con.
remember.
So I got a name which was off the back of a Sting song. So Englishman in New York, Englishman in San Diego. So that's where the name came from. And it's just it's surprising. It's always surprising over the last 10 years how far and how fast it's come from just attending as a one-off attendee, just going for that 1 year, one and done, to being active on forums and Facebook groups, to starting a vlog, to starting a website, to starting to start a panel host, being a panel guest, sorry, to then being a panel host and it becoming a Comic-Con guest. And the fact that it's evolved and gotten as as far as it has always surprises the hell out of me. But it started from just being active everywhere and anywhere to try and get as much information as I could.
Definitely. So as I mentioned before, Comic-Con is going to be going virtual next week. So in lieu of that, some things are going to be the same. I mean, in that we got the schedule around the same, typically the same. We got in the same manner that we're accustomed to getting it. However, a lot of those things that we will come to expect out of our live edition, in-person edition of the show, we won't really be able to experience, whether it's surprise moments that happen on the Hall H stage, or perhaps just different run-ins that could potentially happen when you're at the show. So what is it going to look like for you this year, and have you already looked at your schedule in terms of what it is that you want to check out?
Alyssa?
For each of you, yeah.
I haven't, to be honest with you. I have not looked at the schedule yet at all. I am, to be honest with you, a little bit concerned that I've heard that there's going to be live panels and there's going to be Q&As, and I'm a bit concerned that we may have so many people trying to get in to ask questions. It may tend to be a little bit clustery. PG here. So I'm a little concerned about that and suspect that I'm going to end up watching a lot of things after the fact. So I've been looking at a lot of the online drops and the exclusives, Mondo posters. Apparently there was an announcement. They gave away some chocolate bars today, which I'm like, I missed the chocolate bars. But I guess I can enter into the lottery tomorrow. So those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about with regards to the virtual. I've been a little bit out of it from my site these days, so I haven't been as involved as Leonard has been. So I'm sure Leonard can speak to this a lot more.
Well, I mean, certainly the fact that they are trying their best to run the con as though it's actually happening in San Diego is, I mean, it's a testament to them, I suppose,
Yeah,
for even making that effort,
definitely.
putting up on Shed, so the schedule organizer site. So you literally are organizing your panel viewing as though you were trying to negotiate the Comic-Con schedules as usual. I think that's admirable. I think there's I mean, certainly from what we've seen today. I mean, we had 2 announcements today. Number
Right.
one with IGN, which I'm a little bit questionable about, because the way that IGN are going to be working is, at the end of the day, their team and their reporting squad were booked for the next weekend. They were going to be busy anyway. So what they're going to be doing is a live stream from 10 o'clock in the morning through till 7 o'clock, basically as though they were on site in San Diego. And they're basically going to be bouncing in panels from the Comic-Con schedule, as as they are also going live on the YouTube for San Diego Comic-Con, which makes me wonder if it feels like they're pulling some of those viewing numbers. But I mean, I suppose it's handy for a viewer to just log into the IGN live stream and just watch all the way through. They've got exclusive stuff happening there, so there's that element of what would have been the live show happening with IGN. So that's interesting. But also the fact that today we also had the announcement about the 20th Century Fox New
New
Mutants
Mutants.
panel, which
Yeah.
means at the end of the day, when the concern that people had that the big companies or the big studios weren't going to be attending, they're not, and they some of them are going to be showing up, and I think we're going to see more of those announcements between now and Thursday. I think we're going to see some more surprises. There's more to come, I think.
I was gonna say, I hope so, because I mean, even though there are going to be elements that we have as a live stream, I understand there's still going to be some that are pre-recorded, and that really takes away, I feel, from a lot of the spontaneous things that really aren't planned that happen that are really fun about Comic-Con. So I am fascinated to see how it'll all play out. I'll also be fascinated to see, and I was talking again to Jeff about this earlier, is seeing how this year's show affects future shows and how they execute their programming, and if they still keep some element of this going forward, even though they'll have, fingers crossed, obviously, that we still are going to a physical show. Because Jeff and that were commenting on earlier, like, we already have cons that do this to a degree anyway. Repop does it a lot in their shows, where they have some live streams of some of their programming. So it'll definitely be fascinating to see and how it's executed and how it affects everything going forward. But with that being said, do you guys, I know, Alyssa, you said you didn't, Leonard, do you have already have everything lined up in terms of what your itinerary is, or you're still kind of
I'm getting there. I will admit I'm getting there. I'm starting to piecing it together. But I think it's like Alyssa said, for a different reason. I will be watching a lot of the content after the fact. For a couple of reasons. Number one, there is just so much of it. There's a lot of comics content, which is really cool. I put a post up on my site and listed it all, and it's a long list of stuff. So there's lots of comic stuff that I'll be checking out. I understand the idea of being concerned about it all being pre-recorded, but I also understand that way they can control if there's any signal dropouts or any guests that don't quite show. It's all controlled. I get it. I do understand why the pre-record kind of makes sense. I did a live stream on Sunday where I broke the panel breakdown down, the panel schedule down, and I started it off and prefaced it with the fact that I feel that we really need to support this content going forward, the live stream, especially on the YouTube channel for Comic-Con International, for a couple of reasons. Number one, at the end of the day, we've been asking for this for years. We've been asking for live streamed or content to go out while the convention's happening. So this is what we've asked for. Let's see if we can support that. And just the fact that at the end of the day, if the companies put together content and we don't show up to watch it, even if it's on YouTube or even after the fact, then a lot of companies could even turn around and go, wow, well, the market the market research that we were doing at the physical convention is one thing. We're not getting any numbers on a virtual con. Why are we even bothering showing up? Why are we representing at these cons? So we need to kind of watch these panels to keep the convention relevant and keep it in the face and the frame.
An interesting
Anyway.
thing, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and it also speaks to your idea that we're going to hear a lot more from the movie companies, from the industry people, and a lot of more surprises coming up. There aren't any places where they can make these announcements. There isn't, there's not a lot of driving force behind the entertainment industry today because no money comes to it. So it would make sense to me that they've got a lot of stuff. They still have Black Widow. There's so many things that are in the pipeline that they've got ready in the can, ready to go. It would make sense that they would do something spectacular. And they make a lot of. Go ahead.
I'm also thinking that, certainly off the back of this New Mutants announcement, I'm wondering if there's a number of marketing departments that are now thinking to themselves, we can edit something together over the weekend. We can, let's just reach out to David. Let's reach out to Eddie, the programming team at Comic-Con. Look, let's just find somewhere, just put it up there, and here's an hour. There you go. There's a half an hour panel thing. We can knock something together in Avid over the weekend. And I can imagine that there's this kind of like this domino effect, as people have thought that perhaps the virtual con wasn't a viable option. I think as we get closer, some Lionsgate, Paramount, whoever are just going to go, we can put something together, surely.
The 20 minutes of a movie, the first 20 minutes of a movie, like Star Trek did, a few years ago, just that would be enough.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see more. Yeah.
I agree with you, Leonard. I think you're right with that.
So you think I
don't think we're going to get a massive Marvel present. I don't think we're going to get a sudden hour.
I was going to say, because they're doing their own thing. So you guys think that they're holding like some cards close to the vest about some things that they're showing, besides outside of the fact that we know that there's going to be a DC and a Marvel, separate event?
Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like the actual physical con. We don't know yet. We don't know until we get there.
But the marketing departments would be missing a lot if they don't see the potential of what's possible here. And that's how, if they're not thinking that way, then they're not marketing people. They've got to figure out a way. Now, granted, the economics in the entertainment industry are incredibly abysmal at this point. My feed is just inundated with people in the stagehand music industry that are whining, crying, begging, anything. So maybe there isn't anything that they can do, but I still think, that if they could find a way of monetizing it, and maybe in conjunction with some sort of a streaming service, that, they could start leaking some of these things out.
Yeah.
I'm going.
No. If I can knock something together in Sony Vegas over the weekend, I'm certain a marketing department somewhere in Disney, Marvel, Paramount, Universal can do something. They've got products down the line. They were supposed to. Dune. Let's have a Dune trailer.
Dune.
It wouldn't take much to just bang together. Get them on a Zoom call. It takes an hour to get them on. Look, okay, listen, we're pipe dreaming here. Come on, stop. Brandon,
You're willing it into
we're
the
clutching at
universe.
straws here,
You're
man.
willing it to the universe.
Can you please just drag us off the ledge, for God's sake?
It's okay. You're willing
Sorry,
it to the
I'm
universe.
doing the hands. I'm doing the hands.
But okay, so outside of the schedule itself, I know other folks are kind of doing their normal routine, other than obviously not being able to physically get on their flight and check into their hotels. Everything else they're doing pretty much the same. They took off during that week. I know some folks that are doing virtual parties because they missed going to their parties during the week of Comic-Con, so they're actually doing impromptu Comic-Con ones. So
I'm trying to organize something for the Saturday. I'm trying to organize a Zoom party for the Saturday.
Okay.
Let me know. Let me know when it is.
There you go.
I'll RSVP.
Bring adult beverages.
I have them. Can I show you my liquor cabinet?
Offline. Absolutely. But yeah, so I you answered the question. You are planning on doing a lot of the other routine things that normally happen during that week, based on your response. So with all of that being said, guys, we're talking about first memories, about expectations about this virtual edition of Comic-Con. Just overall, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing, we never got back to me about the how I started or what my site is.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I just want to say something to a lot of people. Because I've noticeably stepped back from my site over the course of the past year and a half. And it is basically a collective. I happen to run it. I happen to own the name and own the domain, but other people are running it. I've got Kevin Whalen, who does the blog and is in charge of the writers, and they basically they do their own thing. So I don't speak for the blog. I try and keep the forum together and in a straight, in a community way of talking to people, but that's it's a safe place where people can talk to each other in the midst of the COVID insanity that we're all going through. So that's primarily what my site has been about these days, and that's why I'm not as involved in the community as Leonard has gone on to be, and as you have, Brandon.
Well, I was going to say,
it's given the opportunity to step
a little too short, I think, Alyssa, because I will give credit in that, in terms of, even though I started my attendance at Comic-Con as an attendee, and over a couple of years I started going as a member of the press. But even then, there were still, whether it's family, friends that have never gone, I've kind of acted as like the tour guide, so to speak, for Comic-Con for folks that are back at home. And your site has been a resource in order for them to know the ins and outs of doing purchase groups. I have a purchase group now, but it started at Friends of CC. Like a lot of those people that are still with me to this day, we all started at Friends of CC when that group started. So no, by all means, like I give credit where credit is due. Like when it comes to being able to provide a resource for those that are interested in going to Comic-Con, and being able to know what's needed and what's necessary, not only to get a ticket, but to get other resources. It's been a useful tool. So whether you want to give yourself credit for it,
you started that, Alyssa. You gotta take.
I started it, but a lot of other people. The only point that I'm trying to make here is that a lot of other people have continued it. I've kind of stepped back, and a lot of other people have continued it. So I wanted to make. I just don't want to stand on other people's laurels, because what Kevin is doing, what TJ has done for the buying groups,
Shout
my
out to
buying
Scott.
group coordinator.
Scott, my buddy Scott out there. I know he's out there. He writes over for you guys.
I'm sorry?
Scott. I feel bad, man. I'm brain farting your last name, but yeah, he writes for Friends of CC.
You mean Scott on the blogging team?
Yes.
Yes, and he's been absolutely great with following through and keeping the Next Week in TV weekly thing, weekly articles going. Which, hey, I mean, we all need new media. That's at this point of the game. That's been key. So, but I just don't. I wanted to just circle back to that. So I don't want to give people the misimpression that I'm about my site. That was all.
Gotcha.
So back to going virtual. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Going virtual. So hopefully San Diego Comic-Con will, as Leonard was saying, will circle back and will bring the virtual back into the conventions going forward. They seem to, though, be pretty set in having San Diego Comic-Con be for the attendees and not for the whole global community.
Which is a shame, because when you had Comic-Con HQ, which showed the potential and it showed the interest, it's a shame they didn't, they even just leapfrog from what they're doing from this week, the next week, sorry, to leapfrog into a new iteration of that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly could have done something of the Marvel panels minus the clips, for example. I mean, that makes sense. And you don't have to put in a 5-minute blank screen. You could just say, insert clip here and move on. I tend to agree. Maybe delay it a week.
Yeah. Or even, I remember when they turned around and said they were going to be doing a virtual Comic-Con, the conversation came up and said, well, could this even be tied in with your member ID, that the only way that you could access the site is if you've bought a badge, if you are a recognized fan, instead of just someone off the street, as it were.
Somebody on the site this morning or yesterday said, it would have been nice to have gotten a box in the mail with a pin and a fake badge.
No, because that means they couldn't sell it like they did it this week. Those 4 pins, you could tell they were supposed to be in boxes going out across the country. That's what was supposed to happen.
Oh, so what shirt? Okay, I got to ask you guys, what shirt do you want? Everybody saw the the official. Am I jumping, Brandon? I'm sorry, I'm jumping.
That end of line. Okay, let's put it this way. I do like the end of line and start of line shirt. That's great, and it's cool, and it's meta, and it's a lovely it's a great Comic-Con souvenir. In 12 months' time, that shirt is going to cause so many troubles.
Oh, yes. I hadn't even thought of that. You're absolutely right. It's brilliant. What does anybody know what the toucan is wearing? What toucan is wearing in that red shirt? What is that?
Question. I can carry on, Brandon. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah.
No, I was saying no. I forgot. What was listed there?
It's the red toucan shirt, and he's in it. I mean, one year they had a steampunk. Last year they had a spaceship, and I'm just wondering what outfit he's in, because it looks like he's in some kind of an outfit, and I've been trying to figure it out. I've been blowing the picture up.
It's very blurred when you kind of zoom in, and I can't
Yeah.
quite tell. I
Yeah.
want to say like some form of astronaut, but it looks more like a
That was
hipster
last year.
dude, like a hipster dude with the goggles. I don't know. It's very, very strange.
I looks like I have a new homework assignment. I have to figure out what this is. So
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
But guys, be that as it may, before I let you go, can you talk a bit in this? I always like to close it off with this. What is thus far, obviously, what has been the favorite Comic-Con memory? And I know it might be really hard to really decide. It might be a couple that you just have as 1A, 1B, 1C instead of just one.
Well, I mean, I kind of got asked this on the UK attendees group. We have like a rolling memories thing, and I got thrown under the bus, and I ended up just getting a random number generator and just randomly picking a year. That's the only way I could do it, because every year's got a memory. Every year's got something special. From me introducing Jim Lee on stage because I was staff volunteer one year to being in the room with Harrison Ford and Sigourney Weaver and the gang uh, from Avengers. That whole day was something special. But I think for me, the best memories aren't actually to do with the con. The best memories are the ones where you meet up with someone, you meet up with a friend, you go to a party after you. It's those it's the conversations you have in line. It's those.
I was walking by. I was walking in front of the convention center, and a buddy was walking the other way, and we just did. But we both of us were with other people, and we just did a high five and kept walking. We didn't even say anything.
Oh yeah, and
Nice.
I forgot to preface this.
Nice.
Alyssa is living in San Diego, so she has to look at a lot of these places every day. Knowing
Well,
does it still feel magical to go past the convention center?
to be honest with you, I haven't been down there very much. I tend to go. I take rides on my motorcycle and Harley Davidson. Yes. And I tend to go outside of the city as opposed to downtown. So I haven't really gone down there. And with with COVID and the more recent influx of cases in the LA area, we were the only county that had beaches open in the surrounding area. So we had everybody from Arizona come in, and problems that Arizona is having, and we had everybody from LA come down. So we're kind of, to be honest with you, I'm in my backyard. I'm at home. I don't go out very much except for bike rides, and it's hard on a motorcycle to drive in cities with a lot of stop and go. It's just the heat is too hard, so I don't go down there a lot. So no, short answer is no.
Gotcha.
But it is magical. I love San Diego. I recently bought a place here, so my roots. I'm rooted now here for a long time.
I'm not jealous at all. I'm happy. I'm happy for you, and yeah.
I understand. Believe me, I understand, Leonard. I do. It's been a long time. I've worked towards this for probably 3 or 4 years at least.
You have.
You know. If anybody knows, you know how long I've worked towards this.
Sure.
So San Diego is a great place to live, though, and I love the community and the fact that I can't go to the museum. The Comic-Con museum is killing me. They had the best donuts for their members only party. It was like it was the donuts. So
this conversation's taking turns. It's great.
I know, right? I was gonna say, but what about you, Leonard? And then I'll go super fast for you, like memory or maybe plural memories thus far.
Yeah, like I say, there's just too many.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think if I'm gonna if just pull one out at random, I am a massive movie poster fan. So I'm
yeah,
a huge fan of the work of, say, Drew Struzan, who did the posters for Harry Potter, did Star Wars, did I think he's painted Harrison Ford more times than anybody else on the planet. He did the Thing poster, did the ET poster. The man's work is known. He had pretty much retired by 2012,
yeah,
2011, and basically the year before, all those panels which we've been talking about, Avengers and Paul and all the others, there was also the Cowboys and Aliens panel, and he had announced that he will do the world premiere at San Diego, and he had this is Jon Favreau, the director, and he convinced Drew Struzan to do a limited edition print, a poster, and there was the rumor that he would be signing with Jon Favreau and Drew Struzan at the Hard Rock. At which point I went, okay, I'm having some of that. A Drew Struzan print signed by Drew Struzan, yes, please. At which point I just wandered down about 8 o'clock just to see what the lay of the land was, and there was already 15 people in the line. I thought, I'm not missing out, and I got in the line. Except I was literally just down to just do the lay of the land. I had taken no provisions with me. I had taken no sunblock with me. Uh, and the whole thing, the signing was happening at something like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So from 8 till 2, I got sunburnt into the ground. I ended up this color. I just got lobster pink into the ground. I ended up looking like Zoidberg from Futurama. It was awful, absolutely awful. But I got my poster, shook the man's
there you
hand,
go.
and yeah, the people that I made friends with in that line, I still talk to this day. So, yeah,
All right, awesome.
good
There you
memories.
guys have it. Thank you guys again so much, Leonard, Alyssa, for coming on. Can you tell folks where they can find your stuff?
People can find me at Friends of CCI is my Twitter handle, and always on my forum at friendsofcc.com.
For myself, I've moved An Englishman in San Diego to a subsite of my new venture, which is the Convention Collective, which is kind of an umbrella of Comic-Con news, pop culture reviews, and articles by Mark Serby. I put stuff up on there myself, but I'm mostly known for the live stream that I do. Used to do it just Sundays, but since we went into lockdown, I wanted to kind of make it a little bit more of a twice weekly thing, because otherwise I just lose track of time. So we go live on Wednesdays now as well, and that's Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. You can find me Englishman SDCC and An Englishman in San Diego pretty much anywhere and everywhere.
All right, cool beans, guys. So again, those of you watching, I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Again, this is capping off our triple header that we had of special edition episodes of SDCC Peeps. We will have another one tomorrow with Clint Morris, who is in publicity. So be sure to check that one out as well. But signing off now. Bummed that we won't have a live edition of Comic-Con. I'm going to miss my food out in San Diego. I'm going to miss hanging out with the folks here in person and being able to, enjoy everything that San Diego has to offer. But with all that being said, you can find us here on Facebook, obviously right now where you're watching. You can find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Troy ENT on Twitter and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching again. Be safe out there. See you soon.
One more thing.
Go for it.
When we get back together,
yes,
we're going to have a party.
Oh, we are.
Okay.
That is a plan. That is a plan.
That's where we need to leave this.
Yeah.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks so much.